For those who have joined, thank you for joining. We are waiting for another speaker to join us, so please be patient.
Hi guys. Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
morning, Miss Lam. Morning.
Sorry for being late. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Okay, those who have joined, you can just comment hi. What are you excited about for today's discussion?
Hi,
It's
everybody.
okay. Do you want to wait or are you ready to go now, Miss?
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready to go now.
Okay, what about Megan? Are you ready? Are you ready, Dr. Nadine?
Yeah, I'm fine. Hi. Hey, everybody.
Okay, we have about 32 people now, so I'll start. So good morning and thank you for those who joined today. I am Mulle, your moderator for the day. We also have Chihi, also known as Glenn. He will be the assistant moderator today to lead the Q&A session today. So first, we would like to give a shout out to our seniors, Eunice, Waming, and Amal. Hope they have joined, as well as Dr. Rinalfi and Zoological Club for initiating and making this discussion possible today. For those who don't know, Zoological Club is active Faculty of Veterinary Medicine in UPM to engage students in joining activities to give them exposure to wildlife and conservation. So before we start, I would like to remind you how. First, please remain muted and silent throughout the session. Second, don't feel shy. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the chat and mention to which speaker you are directing the questions. And later, Glenn will bring them up during the Q&A session. So let us begin our discussion today on primate conservation. We have invited 3 experts to join in to share their knowledge. Unfortunately, one of the speakers, Dr. Rinalfi, is unable to join today. So our speakers today are Dr. Nadine Rupert and Miss Mariani. Am I presenting right now?
Yes.
Okay. So on the left is Miss Mariani Ramli, aka Bang Arrogancia. She founded the Gibbon Rehabilitation Project in 2013. and the society called Gibbon Protection Society Malaysia in 2016 after learning about the plight of the endangered gibbons and other primates in Malaysia. She has a degree in animal biology, was a wildlife ranger with the Malaysian Wildlife Department for more than 10 years. She has worked as a project coordinator and researcher for the Copenhagen Zoo, studying about the flat-headed cats. And she has studied gibbon rehab from the international organizations such as Nam Tama Wildlife Rescue Center in Cambodia and Gibbon Rehabilitation Project in Thailand. Ms. Mariani was recently a winner of the prestigious Young Leadership Awards by The Age and has received the 2018 American Primatological Society Award. She was chosen as one of the top 5 women in leadership in environment sustainability in 2017 and has been widely featured by both local and international media. She is also recognized as the Malaysia's Eco Champion by Jane Gondale's Fruits and Shoots. Her dedication is what keeps the project running despite many difficulties faced. Currently serves as the Gibbon Rehabilitation Project Director and President to the DCIS team. Next on the right is Dr. Nadine Cooper. She is a senior lecturer and head of primate research and conservation lab at the School of Biological Sciences, USM since 2015. A Master of Science in Tropical Biology and Animal Ecology from Würzburg University, Germany, and a PhD in Mammalogy from USM. Dr. Nadine has been involved in zoological research in Malaysia since 2005. She is leading a passionate team of postgraduate students in primatology, and they have established numerous new studies on Malaysian primates. Together, they have founded the Malaysian Primatological Society, a registered NGO in 2015, and various projects such as Macaca Nemastrina Project, Langur Project Penang, UMCA Small Ape Research and Outreach Night Spotting Project, and Primate Watch, all of which you can find on Facebook. Now, I am truly excited to hear from both speakers with a great background. There will be 2 rounds of discussion with a Q&A session. First, so without further ado, I will turn my time over to Dr. Nadine to give a general introduction of primate diversity in Malaysia. The floor is yours now, Dr. Nadine. I will stop sharing now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mulai, for the introduction. I'm trying to share my screen now. So, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is fresh and excited about primates. So, first, I'm just giving a very brief introduction about the diversity of primates in Malaysia. And then Bam will talk about her Gibbon project. And then I will come back and talk about macaques. And still trying to share my screen. Wait, just one moment. Okay. Not quite sure because I can't really see it. Can you tell me whether you see my screen or
No.
no? Okay. Yesterday it worked. It's always like this. It works during during the rehearsal, and I want to try again.
Okay, take your time.
Yeah. I'm clicking on present now and the screen. Nothing pops up. My laptop has been lagging and it's extremely slow for a few days, and I'm not sure why. So whenever you see primates popping up on your screen, please let me know.
Yeah, okay.
If not, yeah, you can see now?
No, nothing.
Not yet.
Not yet. Hi. Why is it always like that?
No.
Really?
Yeah, not yet.
Oh, why like that? I'm sorry because I see the.
Never sure.
Now I'm seeing the share button. It's just if I share, it's extremely slow. So I'm pressing.
Okay.
Okay, now, sorry for my laptop. Okay,
Now it's
so
good.
can we start? Thanks for waiting. So you see here on this fantastic compilation of pictures that was done by the Reference Lenge Working Group in Singapore. Thank you to Andy Ang and Sabrina Jabba for that. A compilation of primates in Malaysia. And you see all these different faces and colors, and even how they sit or hang or swing. You see there's a fantastic array of different species. And we have such a fantastic number actually of primate diversity or species in Malaysia that it shocked me a little bit when I started my work in 2015 that there was really little research done on most of the species. I guess everybody knows macaques, but maybe only a few of you have seen like a maroon langur, for example. Later you can point me out which one it is. So when I started my work, there was little known about many of the species, and so I was focusing on macaques in the beginning, but later, due to the interest and also talent of many of my students, we initiated more projects on more species, and maybe what we initiated was what Mulai mentioned before, an NGO that is called Malaysian Primatological Society. And within this NGO and also with the USM School of Biological Sciences and the lab I'm working in, we also initiated several other projects that not only do research but also work on conservation. So meaning we are not just studying, but we're also trying to tell people about primates. So this is why I'm here today. And trying to facilitate collaborations and also trying to mitigate some of the problems that arise when primates and humans meet. So this is what I'm going to talk about later. So if you're interested in any of these projects, please just head to Facebook and you can just type and search the name of this project on Facebook. And these are some of the projects that work on primates in Malaysia. I hope I haven't forgotten any, and if I resolved it also on purpose. So why primates? Because primates, as I hope all of you know, are our closest cousins. So in fact, we are primates too. And if we say primates, and we don't mean us, we should say non-human primates. But that's like a mouthful, so we just stick primates when we talk about monkeys and apes. As I said, Malaysia has really a fantastic array of species. And in fact, it's one of the biodiversity hotspots in the world. And many of the species, in fact all but the long-tailed macaque on the left are threatened. Some are critically endangered or endangered. For example, orangutans are critically endangered, or the gibbons that Bam will talk about in more detail. They're all classified as endangered by the IUCN Red List. As I've mentioned, they're neglected in research and also conservation efforts. And they play a very important role in the ecosystem. So when we talk about primates, we should think about seed dispersal. We should think about how to regenerate forests. So distributing fruits and seeds is one of the key mechanisms in ecology, and primates are one of the key seed dispersers. So they are really important for the forest ecosystem. Quite short and dirty overview, because I think I talked to many students today, so you should know what primates actually are. So they are an order that is called primates or primata. And when we talk about primates in general, we just do not talk only about monkeys. And many people confuse what is a monkey, what is an ape, or in fact, what are lemurs and lorises and so on. So there are different categorizations. So 4 main groupings of the order of primates, and they are divided into that's also a mouthful, the Strepsirrhini. They have a wet nose like your cat. Yeah, so they are distinct from what we call the dry nose monkeys or the Haplorhini. So for example, lemurs and lorises, the one on the top is Psilolori, what we call wet nose primates. Then we have tarsiers, the one with the big eyes, more kobold-like. You find them on Borneo as well as Indonesian islands. The New World primates, which you can find in Southern and Mesoamerica, and Old World primates. So Old World, New World, this is a term probably that was coined by Christopher Columbus discovering the New World. So we refer to Americas continent. When we talk about New World, and all the primates that you can find there are quite distinct from Old World primates. This is also due because of the biogeography. So Asia and Africa were once joint continents. So the cities and the rainforests you can find on both continents are much older, in fact, than the New World. So this is maybe also why it's called the New World and Old World. But as you can see here, there are 4 different groups, and they do have certain anatomical features in common. So there's a definition why and how we define the taxon primates. So their extremities, their hands, are extremely well adapted to grabbing and moving through the canopy. They have fingerprints or dermal papillae, which allows also better grip, especially when it's wet. Yeah. Then enlargement of the brain and increased visual sense. So primates do not much rely anymore on smell or even hearing. And there are some exceptions, obviously. But the eyes are the main sense. The rotation of the eyes to the front. So when you think about rabbits, for example, the eyes are at the side. Then there's a reduction in teeth number, very small litter size. For example, orangutan, they only have 1 infant, 1 offspring, and that might be every 5 to 7 years only. So very low reproduction rate and very extended life histories. Again, example, orangutan, they can reach ages up to 40 years. So very similar also to humans in the great apes. So there's some common features how to define the primate taxon. And then here you can see Malaysia, as I've mentioned before, is one of the biodiversity hotspots. And in terms of primate diversity, there are about 26. So it says 24 to 26. Some species have been recently discovered by in terms of genetic identification via DNA studies, but they yet have to be confirmed and updated in the IUCN taxonomy. So 24 to 26 species, which makes Malaysia top 2 in Asia. So this is something that means we should also not just be proud of that diversity, but help protecting the biodiversity, especially the primate diversity that we have. Very short overview. Don't want to bore you with all those names, but just that you get an idea. So there's about 3 to 4 species of Stolorises. Again, has to be confirmed. 1 species of Tarsia, 3 species of macaques. Later you can answer me in the chat group what are the 3 species of macaques, because I'm sure you know 2 of them, but maybe not the 3rd one. And there's 10 to 11 species of langurs. Langurs used to be called leaf monkeys, some are called lutung, some are called sturili. Generally, we refer to langurs when we talk about the 2 genera, Presbytes and Rhacopithecus. Then there's proboscis monkeys, the one with the big nose in Borneo. 5 species of small apes. So Bam will talk about the gibbons later. So small apes are gibbons, also including the fantastic, magnificent Siaman. And of course, Asia's only great ape species, the orangutan. All right, so this is a very short, brief, dirty overview. I hope you know a little bit more about primates now than you did before. And I pass the baton back to Mulai. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neri. It was really interesting to know all the types of primates in Malaysia, especially. So, Ms. Bang, do you have anything to add to the presentation just now on the introduction?
For now, I don't think so.
Okay,
Not yet.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to remind again, if you have any questions or any comment, do comment in the chat box. So just share your thoughts or any questions you want to ask in the chat box. Now I would invite Ms. Bang to present her part on singing, swinging apes. Thank you. Now, Ms. Bang, you can start your presentation.
Hi guys, good morning. Thank you for inviting me and to share about our work at the Gibbon Conservation Society. So now my turn to try how to present. This is my the window. Can you guys see this?
Yes, Miss, you can see it.
Alright. Okay, so I cannot see my face. I guess I can just see the presentation, right? I don't have experience with it. Is it true?
Yes, Miss, yeah. You only see
Okay.
the screen.
Alright, so now my turn. I'm going to talk about the Malaysia swinging singing apes. Yeah, this is some of the pictures of the primates in Malaysia, like Nadine already briefed us. So for us, we are focusing on gibbons. So this is what normally happens when I went to university, to public event or to school. When I show this picture, people will always know what this is. And when I show this picture, people will like suddenly senyap where they don't know what this is. So this is our challenges, you know. People normally know the existence of orangutan, but they don't know that we have gibbons in our jungle. So as you can see, gibbons is an ape, same with human. It's just they are known as the lesser apes because of their size. And what made gibbons similar to human because of three characters. Yeah, gibbons share 90% of DNA with human, but gibbons talk to each other. They have like their own gibbons language. If they like when they call you, they give warning. They even if they full after they eat, they feel kenyang or anything. They will have like this short note. And then gibbons are the only primates that can walk bipedal in a long distance. They are really good in balancing their body, and gibbons practice monogamy, socialization. So these are Bornean gibbons, Halobetes mullerae and Halobetes abboti. And this is the gibbons in Peninsular Malaysia. We have the Agile gibbons, La gibbons, and the Siamang. So what are the most, for me, the interesting fact about gibbons, why I fall in love with the gibbons, because they are the only thing in primates in the world, and then they are the fastest primates in the world, and they have the longest arm. The length of the arm is 2 times than their leg, and then that's why they are known as the king of vacation, because there's no mammals that can beat them when they are highly arboreal. They're so fast on the trees. So what happened to gibbons in Malaysia? The status in Jabatan Hidupan Liar, they are protected species under Wildlife Conservation Enactment, the first scheduled CITES. And normally, when you have gibbons as pets, you can be fined until 50,000 to 250,000, and then 5 years of jail. In Peninsular Malaysia, they are totally protected species under Wildlife Conservation Act 2010. You can be fined until 200,000 and 10 years jail. So as we know, gibbons are already listed as endangered species, and there are 2 more steps to be extinct in the wild. So in Malaysia, other than habitat destruction, all the agriculture, one of the threats for the gibbons nowadays is the pet trade. You can find gibbons advertised on any social media platform. The price is around 5,000 minutes. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp group is selling gibbons, and then this is their modus operandi. They send by bus the gibbons. If you order them, book them online, and then if you pay more, like the price is 3,000, you pay 3,500. They will give you a warranty. Like if your gibbons arrive and die after 1 week, they can replace the new one. And then if you pay more, like 3,000, more than the price is 3,000, then you pay 3,800. you can get euthanized package. Let's say you board with your gibbon pet, they will send like ubat for you to put the gibbons to sleep. And then they normally, when they advertise the gibbons, they will use the gain sympathy method. Show cute face. So this is one of the gibbons that we rescued. Her name is Bella. So it is estimated to get one baby to be fed in people's home, 10 to 20 individuals will die during the process because this gibbon practice because of their monogamy sterilization. Normally, to get the baby, the father and the siblings and the mother will try to protect, and then they will die protecting the baby. And if you get that, you just see just now, Bella. We rescued her, but she got badly injured during the fall. So sometimes when you kill the family, the siblings or the father, you manage to get the baby, but sometimes the baby will die together with the mother during the fall. So that is why the number of estimations, 10 to 20 will die during the process. So as we know, where there is demand, there will be trade. So this is what encourage. This is what feed the cruel trade for gibbons in Malaysia. Our local celebrities having them as pets, and then out promoting them, and then when their followers comment, say it's cute where you bought gibbons, and that's where the traders will DM you and said I can supply you gibbons, things like that. So still happening. It's getting slow now since last year, but this is how all this online traders affect our wildlife. So as Nadine said, we have 26 species. This is there are 25 for now. I need to update. As you can see, gibbons, in the Hylobatidae family, all already endangered. In this case. So, but yet the traders still freely shooting, killing, and selling our gibbons. Sometimes they're willing to do something really cruel to the baby to get the sympathy from the potential buyer. If you can see this gibbon, I've been told that the finger been cut just to get people so-called want to save her. So the challenges for gibbons, conservation gibbons that we face here in Malaysia is lack of research. We can count how many universities actually do gibbon research. Like USM since 2017 start doing the calculations, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't read the result yet. Later I contact Nadine. And then still a lot of future and specific research needed to ensure long-term conservation and to improve management for gibbon conservation. Because actually in Thailand, the first gibbon rehabilitation project been established since 1992, and now they already have around 3 gibbon rehabilitation projects. This is our neighboring country, and in Indonesia, Salawat gibbon rehabilitation project started 1999, and now in the whole Indonesia they have 5 gibbon rehabilitation projects. So this is how important the gibbon in our neighboring countries. Like we have 20 species of gibbons all over Asia, like even India, they already have their gibbon rehabilitation project since 2000, 2002. Most of these Asian countries already have their specific program for gibbon conservation. That is why it is critical to start the project here in Malaysia for these small apes, because normally people just know orangutan, the greater apes. And then the common perception, there are less aesthetic value for the gibbon, and then people see them as normal common monkey. They don't know they are apes. And then when you save the gibbon, they will just ask you to make your own child rather than saving a gibbon child. That's how our mindset is here, unfortunately. So, as we know, orangutan, we have the Sepilok Orangutan Rehabilitation Center, Temanggung Orangutan Rehab Center, and then Bukit Merah Center. For even though we don't have like orangutan in Peninsular Malaysia, what we have a conservation rehabilitation center for orangutan here in Peninsular Malaysia. That is why, as a solution for this apes, also we come out with a gibbon rehabilitation project to help this victim of illegal pet trade to send them back to the wild. So, wildlife conservation, this is just general knowledge. We know practice of protecting wild species and their habitats in order to prevent from going extinct. And wildlife rehabilitation is described as the rescue of incapacitated wild animals that are considered unable to survive in the wild without human intervention and their subsequent release. So these two need to go hands together in order for you to save the species for the primates. Or else, every time you rescue them from pet trade, more than 90% of them will just die without a proper rehabilitation. We call that hard release. So what we practice in GRAP, in Gibbon Rehabilitation Project, and GCS, Gibbon Conservation Center, is O and 4R, which is with Gibbon Conservation Society. We do outreach program to spread more awareness about the gibbons, to tell them, look, we also have another species of apes in our country, which is the gibbon. And then we do rescue for the gibbon from the expat gibbon, and then we treat them and we do rehabilitation for the gibbon, train them all the survival skills, and then hopefully soon we'll manage to release this gibbon. And then during the rehabilitation and after the release, we will do research. Now it's ongoing research at the center. So why we need this? Why we need the gibbon rehabilitation project here in Malaysia? Because of the long-term rehabilitation process, and then increasing behavior, permanent disabilities, and then when we got infant, they need surrogate mothers, 24/7 care, and then dependence on the human, and then we need to look for habitat suitability for the gibbons before we release. This is we need a committed work to do this, because if they, let's say, they are already fulfilled all the criteria to be released, we cannot just simply release them in other gibbon territory area. They will just die there because fighting for the same territory is a long-term commitment for rehabilitation. A sample case, you see, this is Rangga. He's just 8 months old when we rescued him. Because of the parents and especially the mother being killed, he misses the mother's nipple and to feel comfort. So he keep on looking our chopping telinga, And then if he cannot find, if I wear my buff, my scarf, if he cannot find my slinger, he will, he will start looking for skin to suck on. So can you imagine, without proper rehabilitation, we just release this baby to the wild, what will happen to him? So that is why that is most important for rehabilitation, especially for infants. So according to study, confiscated primates, especially gibbons, normally end up in rescue centers together with other wildlife species. And in order to free up space in limited holding facilities, authorities have been known to release captive animals to the wild without an appropriate rehabilitation program. Because to rehab an individual, it takes 5 to 10 to 15 years for them to able to survive in the wild with proper rehabilitation. So, and then these hard release methods have received criticism, where due to the animal mortality increase and no long-term monitoring also shown that there has been little effort to assess the results. Many years of rehabilitation to know your rehabilitation is successful or not is after the release, the pair that you release manage to have another offspring in the wild. So this is how to show they manage to survive the whole weather, and then they're comfortable. They manage to survive. So, example from neighboring country Indonesia, last time 90% of the poorly rehabilitated young gibbons died soon after release. And in Malaysia, out from the 87 gibbons released at Semanggo, Sarawak, fewer than 10 survived at the time of the survey. This represents a mortality rate of 90%. Last time, 1992, we have a gibbon rehabilitation project in Sarawak, but then because maybe we don't have proper reference and all, that project failed. So the challenges, people always question me, why you still keep the gibbons? The individual it's been like more than 5 years, 6 years already. But this is what this is our main guideline reference before we can release an individual. Since they need to mimic the wild behavior of the gibbons. There are 7 criteria. They need to spend 50 to 65% of their time on the they need to be arboreal. And they need to know how to vacate, because some of the gibbons, pet gibbons, they just walk bipedal, they walk on the ground, they don't really go up. So, and then they need to know how to sing. Like there's one case in our center, Dexter, he's a male, but sometimes he sang female song. So we need to fix that. He needs to like properly sing before he can be released. Okay, activity budget, and then specific behaviors. Most of the gibbons that used to be pets, they have this specific behavior like step rocking or pulling their own hair. So that kind of thing, that kind of behavior, they need to be not more than 3%. So if they manage to fulfill all this, the 7 criteria, then they can be released. But let's say they don't know how to sing, or they don't know how to vacate, then they need to continue in the project. So this is our sample case, Daru. This is Daru at his owner's house. They keep on self-hugging and fur-plugging, and then he bites his own arm. And then the same year, 2 months after that, he don't really have appetite to eat. He's demotivated. He don't have, he's demotivated, not moving much, and then just blank eye staring at the ceiling. This is him. the same year when we rescued him. And then the next year, as you can see, Daru already gained weight somewhat, but the fur is not really thick yet. So few static behavior, but not breaking much. Only after 3 years or 4 years, April 2018, then he started breaking really well and more appetite for food, static behavior is, and he started producing male loud calls, that's vital for survival in the wild. So as you can see, Daru's case, it takes 3 to 4 years just for him to start singing again. So we are the I am the member of the IUCN Private Specialist Group. We have this once a year networking workshop to discuss all this. The rehabilitation center leaders are in this group where we do workshop. We learn from each other. And then in 2018, because I don't have reference in Malaysia, I've requested for an independent auditor from IUCN, and they send a representative from European Alliance of Rescue Center and Sanctuary, and also Wildlife Impact. They did a 4 days audit at the center. All been audited, SOPs, future plan, health screen, and everything, and we managed to get we managed to pass all the audits. So So just to share with you guys, this is one of the common thing that we did in GCS, because of, as you know, we still still don't have such proper funding. So everything we will do our own, and then most of the funds will go to the given food and medical. And also everything we do on our own, by our own. So this is for a case Dexter last time, where Dexter, if you follow us on our social media, Dexter is a pet that's been kept for 5 years, and then I've been threatened by the owner, where he said if I don't take Dexter in 2 days, he will just leave him in the jungle. So this is how great the team help that we get at the project at the center. So it's rain or hot or anything, we will do what we have to do, what we need to do. There's Pija, Black Tongue, Fight Me, helping to build Dexter rehabilitation enclosure. So that's another thing in GRAP, what we do. Now we upgraded our volunteer program to GRAP internship program. Just Kavin, I think you guys, it's your friend to start in GRAP now. So this is some of we did a capacity building for the internship. Selain belajar pasal learn about events, we also do camera trapping, wildlife tracking, building, data collection, and for you to learn in depth about. For now, we focus on the gibbon conservation or the wildlife conservation. So this is the GRAP team. Only 3 of us ladies there, permanent surrogate mothers, but we 3 of us cannot do all this without the help of the interns and without the support from the public. So yeah, for those who haven't followed like our social media, please go to Facebook and our Instagram, Gibbon Conservation Society, and then soon our website will be up. and then you guys can join various programs and buy merchandise. But soon one is when it's up. So we believe in the for Gibbon Conservation Society. We believe every individual matters. So because we want to help send them home. So on behalf of Cantik, from left, Lola, Betsy, Bella, Dali, Daru, Ambon, Dexter, Elsa, Ranga, Chinta, Ebony, I would like to say thank you. And if you guys would want to know more about the project and want to help us, please reach us at the social media platform. And just want to share something that I hold until now is never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world by Mother Nature, because that's the only thing that ever has. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Bam. It was really interesting and truly devastating to hear how people are so selfish and treat these gibbons so cruelly just to gain sympathy from people, and how these celebrities are just publicly posting buying these gibbons. And I really hope that the project will really successfully able to rehabilitate them and free them to the wild where the true home is. And looks like there's already a lot of questions in the chat. So I will now pass it to Glenn to conduct the Q&A session. Glenn, the floor is yours now.
All right. Hi everyone, and thank you, Ms. Vam, for your sharing. I have collected some of the questions online through our Google form. Some of them is asking, for right now, because we know that it's the COVID-19 thing is going on. So, how do you maintain the health barrier for the workers in your organization, in your center?
During the MCO, actually, we cancel all scheduled volunteers to come. So only 3 of us there, like lazy people. Every 9 days working because we want because gibbon can get the virus, so we want to avoid as much as possible. But then even though we need to buy supplies, only one people will go out, which is Kana. She will use this handmade PPE from garbage back to plastic, dia punya tangan, dia punya baju daripada plastik. It's all just to avoid any disease from outside. And then masa CMCO, then we start taking back volunteers to help us. But before they come in, they need to do few tests, TB tests, hepatitis tests, especially COVID-19 tests, so they can come.
Okay. I also got one question, a few questions. One is from Felicity, I think. Yeah. She was asking what's the protection status of gibbon in Sarawak right now.
I think I'm reading the chat. I think someone already answered. It's totally protected under Wildlife Protection Ordinance.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and also Fatiha asked, is Matang Wildlife Center under this gibbon rehabilitation project as well?
Last time I know yes, but for now I've been told that they don't release the gibbons lagi since they still trying to do the proper rehabilitation.
I see. Okay. All right, and then we also have a participant from Germany. Yeah, I'm not sure she or he, but participant asked that what's the aspect of gibbon research that is being conducted right now in your organization, because he or she couldn't find any any research or things like that about gibbons. Like not much research are being done that she can find about gibbons.
Actually, there's few research been done about their song, about their wild behavior, and then for now at the center we just do the behavior for the effect of rehabilitation, the effect of enrichment, but we haven't managed to publish yet. Still struggling time to do the writing about. But maybe also the student, I think they do given research, can. You do one day or
I see.
one
So,
yeah.
okay. Oh, in the center right now, it's mostly focusing on the rehabilitation research, right?
Yeah.
Like the recovery rate, something like that, is it? The
Yeah. Because in order for us to understand whether they already fulfill all the 7 criteria, behavioral data collection is so important. So from that observation, we know the behavioral observation.
I see. But I heard that just now you said that it would take like 5 to 15 years or 10 to 15 years to rehabilitate them and then to be released.
Yes.
May I know how long is the lifespan of the gibbon itself?
I read they can reach in the world they can live until 35 years old. But in captivity, there's record they can live until 61 years old.
Oh, okay. Okay. We also have one more question. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It's Ipoyoda Primus. Okay. And the participant asked about is it possible for what about gibbons that are born deaf, like they can't hear anything? What if they can't sing and they can't? Yeah. So those gibbons will be in the center forever, right? Or
if that gibbon is pet gibbon, we will do health check and all. But if they are born deaf in the wild and have never been pet, it's just maybe their survival rate you know, because they need to know things to mark their territory and to find partner.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing, that's my question. Like, how do you teach them to sing? Like you said just now. I'm quite interested in that.
No, we don't really teach, but they learn from each other. We just encourage them if they want to. We just encourage them to learn with each other. We don't really, even though I don't really know how to sing perfectly like a gibbon, but we encourage them to be with other gibbons. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all the question from the chat box. And also, I think everyone would be very interested to know what's the biggest challenge in primate and gibbon conservation that you are facing right now, like the financial stuff or
yeah, of course the financial stuff. But for me, the biggest challenges for conserve the gibbon now that we face is public awareness and education. Even though if you go to university, there's no specific education course that people need to learn. So I need to learn from other countries and then volunteer there. And to change the public mindset, to start appreciating the not just gibbons or the wildlife in the wild. Because as you know, there's one baby, how many will die during the process? This is what happened to that other monkey, like the macaque or lion, you need to kill the mother to get the baby. So the main challenge is the mindset of the public. That's why also we do outreach program, which is so critical to change, to make sure the whole conservation process is complete. Because rehabilitation is just one branch of conservation.
Okay, okay. But there's one more question. What if uh the awareness doesn't do anything, like it doesn't help much? What if it doesn't help much? Do you think that breeding gibbons in captivity would help? Is this a sustainable way to prevent them from extinction?
You can breed gibbons in captivity, but when you release them without proper awareness, then people will just kill them. It's just a waste of effort. So this thing need to go together. Or else you are like this, habitating the gibbons, send them back to the wild, but then the demand of the gibbons that is still high, and then people start killing them again.
Yeah, true, true. Okay, I think that's most of the question. I think that's all from me. Thank you for your sharing and the answers. All right, I'll pass the floor back to our moderator, Mulai. All right, over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Glenn. They were really good questions, and I hope everyone got their answers that they need. I also have actually one more question to Miss Bang about the singing. Like you told how the male gibbons start to give female voice, right? So how do you
Yeah.
differentiate between male and female voice?
Distinction. I'm not really sure about that, but we have like few like for now we can detect like on less than five difference between male and female songs. But the great call is really obvious. Where like I told you Dexter, he have this problem where he sometimes don't know how, he sometimes sing female song, and sometimes he even sing alarm call, do alarm call without. So yeah, that's what happened at the project side.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Miss. Okay, now I'll invite Dr. Neri to present on the human macaque interface, the challenges of COVID-19 and beyond.
Okay, thank you so much, Mulai, and also thank you so much, Pam. Actually, there's one more question that I find really important that Pam will answer this question. So, Sangari Kurupanan is asking, let's say we encounter someone who has a gibbon as their pet. How do we tell them that it is illegal? And some people tend to get defensive and violent and they won't even listen. So what can we do? So I think many of us have encountered pets on social media, private pets, not just gibbons, and some of us might not know what to do. So maybe Pam, you can answer that, and then I will give my talk. Thank you.
Yeah, what you can do to people? Yeah, thank you, Nadine. What you can do to people like this is for you to help the gibbons first, you need to make sure you are safe first. If they don't want to listen to you, start distancing yourself from the pet owner, the gibbon owner. But then start taking photo or video silently, and then either send to the wildlife department, and or also you can send to us. And then I believe our department will guide you what to do next, and we also will tell you what to do next for this kind of situation. Just make sure you are safe first. Don't make it too obvious you're fighting with them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm again trying to share my screen with you. Please bear with me because now it's not responding. Do you see anything coming up? Please let me know. Can you see my screen?
Yes, doctor, you can see.
Yes.
Okay. Because it's again turning, waiting. I try to get into presentation mode. So first of all, again, thanks for inviting me for this webinar. And when your contact Beting, when she said, "Doctor, can you present about primate conservation?" I was like, "Oh, how many days do you give me to speak?" Because you have not only seen the primate diversity in the first slides that I gave you, but there are so many different aspects and challenges in conservation. And every species has other challenges, and there's really a lot of the work that we are doing and that BAM is doing. There's incredibly much to do, especially in Malaysia, when we talk about primate conservation. So what is primate conservation? I can talk for you about this for a week. So I decided now it's that we are all stuck in this global pandemic. It's maybe the time that we focus a little bit about the challenges that we have, especially with the human macaque. I avoid saying the word conflict on purpose because conflict is a very negative word. So we would like to say primate or a human macaque interface or interactions. But I guess many of you know that these interactions are perceived most of the time negatively by people. But let's just put it as interface or interactions for now. And in times of COVID-19, what does that mean? How can we protect primates? How do we protect us in these human-primate interfaces? What are mitigation efforts? What are management strategies? And so I'm trying to wrap this up in maybe the next 20 to 30 minutes. And many of these issues are probably not really new to you, but hopefully some of the solutions, whether they are feasible or not, that I give you might be practical so everybody can hopefully conduct them or manage in a little bit better way after my talk than you did before. So I asked the question in the chat before, how many species of macaques and what are the species? And of course, every one of you knows the long-tailed macaque, or Macaca fascicularis, is very widespread over Southeast Asia. It's also known as the crab-eating macaque, and in fact, it does feed on crabs, on mollusks. It's very common in the coastal ecosystems and mangroves. It's very adapted to all sorts of ecosystems, in fact, the forest, mangroves, also human disturbed landscapes, like in urban areas or parks. Very widespread, very cheeky, very, as I said, adaptable. And many people might have their challenges with this species. Then we have the pigtail macaque. That's one of my main study species. It's a little bit less maybe known, less obvious. It's more found in forest areas, but it does occasionally also adapt to disturbed areas, urban landscapes, where people come across pigtail macaques in parks, for example, sometimes having negative encounters as well. Now my study, the Macaca nemestrina project, if you go to Facebook, we are studying their interactions with, or their behavior in oil palm landscapes. And we found that they feed on rats, which is interesting because they can act as a biological pest control, and we can hopefully then reduce the use of pesticides in plantations and make this an argument to diversify oil palm plantations and to protect forest habitats so that these macaques can come into plantations from the forest and help farmers or oil palm planters to save some costs on rat poison. And then the third species, I don't have a picture here, please Google it, it's called the stump-tailed macaque. And stump-tailed macaques are widely distributed in Thailand and beyond, but in Malaysia or in Peninsula, you can only find them in this little northern area of Perlis near Wang Kliang, the Thai border. So in fact, Malaysia has a third species of macaques. We usually do not encounter them so much, and there's not really any human interface with the stump-tailed macaques in Peninsula Malaysia. So I'm concentrating my talk on pigtail macaques and also long-tailed macaques. So challenges. BAM has touched on this before. All primates, all species, wildlife species everywhere in the world, not just here in Malaysia, face the same challenges. Now for arboreal species or highly arboreal species like especially gibbons, but also the langurs and many of the macaques, macaques can come down to the ground a lot. But losing forests, losing connectivity, losing their natural habitat is always one of the high risks or threats that they face. And this comes with not just losing feeding grounds, but also trying to cross roads to find new places. So on the right side, you can see there's roadkills, there is langurs that are highly arboreal who come down to cross roads in Penang. So this is the project that my student Julie Nyap is doing in Penang, the Langur project Penang. We have established some boreal or canopy bridges. I'll show you a picture later here to try to mitigate these risks. And then you have oil palm landscapes and the orangutan, which is a completely standalone story that has also gained media attention worldwide for anti-palm oil campaigns. Again, if you just boycott, you will not restore connectivity of landscapes. So there's a lot of issues that we have to tackle everywhere. And you see here just short overview until the year 2000, a graph or graphic how much forest has been lost or forest cover has been lost in Peninsular Malaysia. And after the year 2000, actually until 2015, and I haven't really looked at the latest numbers, Malaysia has lost another 86% coverage of the forest cover that was existent in the year 2000. So this is not an updated chart here. It's just really to give you a picture saying, wow, okay, so what about all these animals, especially boreal or highly forest-dependent animals? What if they lose their habitat? Then they come out, then they have to find food, then they come in contact with humans, and as Bam also said before, humans tend often to feel very cute about the monkeys. They feel sympathetic. Some of us, and that's a good thing, please don't get me wrong, some of us think like, oh my God, I have to help them, I have to feed them. Now in this particular case, good intentions come with negative consequences, because when we start to feed primates in these fragmented landscapes or disturbed habitats, then we will see a lot of issues arising, and I will touch on them in a moment. One of them is an example taken from Mud Cave is, of course, close contact, not just with children, but also elderly people. This can lead to, we come to this topic, disease transmission, attacks, and everything. So they lose the fear. They lose the fear because they get fed by humans, they get food, they get what we call provision. And this is a positive interaction, so they don't see us as they have to avoid us, they expect us to give them something, and we call this habituation. Habituation is very important for research. So what I do with the Macaca Nemestrina project, we also have to habituate our monkeys to get used to us as observers, but we would never ever feed them. So we have to be with them constantly, just being neutral, just being present, never give them any food. So it took us more than 2 years to habituate the pigtail macaques in Perak, where the project is situated. And you see in the wild, when they are not fed, nobody is interacting with them negatively. They are not aggressive. They are happy and healthy in the forest. They do have enough food. They are not even interested in interacting with us. We are just these neutral people. I don't even know how they perceive us. Just this bunch of researchers always following them, maybe a nuisance sometimes. But we never have any negative encounters with them. Of course, sometimes they are challenging. They are curious. They want to check us out. But there hasn't been any situation that has been what I would say really critical or threatening to the observers. Bam has mentioned about that before. So habitat fragmentation, opening of forests brings people together or brings people closer to wildlife, and consequences are the wildlife is sought after as pets. I mean, primates, baby primates, they're just like humans, they're super cute and cuddly. And yes, if you look at them, like who would not like to have them, you know, as a pet? But what happens if they grow up? So please think about what Bam has said before. How long does it take to rehabilitate primates to be able again to survive in the forest? Because when they grow up, people do not want to have them in their houses anymore. They grow large canines, they have sharp teeth, they are very strong. They are not cuddly pets when they are more than 1 or 2 years old. And then what to do with them? So then committed people like Bam get called and say, hey, take the primate tomorrow, or I release it. So it's very challenging. This is happening for all species and all over the world, again, not just in Malaysia. Many parts of Southeast Asia, partially maybe also in Borneo, there's what we call bushmeat demand. So primates are also consumed by by certain also indigenous tribes. And this is a picture with a macaque that was taken in Indonesia. So you see this again all over Southeast Asia, where there's performance monkeys, people, especially tourists like Germans like me who have never seen a primate in Germany because we do not have monkeys there. They're like super excited, and this is something that is fun for the moment because we do not understand that it's something that's actually hurting or threatening the populations. So when tourists come for a week-long holiday in Thailand or Southeast Asia, they pay money to see this. They are excited because they lack the background knowledge. They do not understand that this is something that is really, really taking a toll, not just on the monkey that has to perform because it's very challenging mentally for the individual. He's been taken away from the family. He's, maybe even tortured or treated not right, but also for the population or the conservation of the species in general. So there's a lot of different aspects, and these are some pictures taken from Malaysia, and I think some of you might have come across one or two of these situations before. Macaques, especially long-tailed macaques, in urban areas or in parks or in any of these spaces where they come too close to humans, they might steal your food, they go through garbage. Now there's a very funny situation that happened. The monkeys steal documents at an army camp. I think that was in 2016. So they stole from the Post Laju driver, they stole this parcel and it was classified state secret documents. And it can be funny, but of course it can also be very dangerous, and people get often attacked. Sometimes just, the monkey would just maybe pull on the pants, but sometimes people get bitten as well. And the picture you see here actually is one of my research assistants who is studying, not my personal assistant, she's with UC Davis. They studied the human-macaque interface in Kuala Lumpur a few years ago, and she really got bitten while she was in that group of macaques and doing observations and taking data. So even experienced researchers, people who have worked with macaques, they are not immune. So sometimes you're not aware how you react, and the monkey perceives this reaction in a way that triggers aggression, and then bites happen. Now, especially in the COVID-19 era, it's not an era yet, and I hope it won't be, but in these challenging times of new arising infectious diseases, there are implications that we really have to consider. So many of you might have heard that especially the macaques are also carriers of the very dangerous and often deadly herpes B virus. And if you get bitten, like my friend here, you have to immediately seek medical attention. Don't take this lightly. Yeah, many of the macaques are carriers of herpes B. And so if you want to be on the safe side, go to the doctor immediately. The wound has to be disinfected in a special way. You cannot do this at home, yeah. And you have to go and check up after, several weeks and maybe months whether you are okay or not. So please, if there's any time that you come into this dangerous situation, do not take it lightly. Monkeys or the macaques are also known to carry non-infectious diseases like malaria, so mosquito-borne diseases, transmittable diseases like malaria. And I think some cases you see here from Sabah, Sarawak, the numbers are outdated. I couldn't find any new picture or graph on this. But cases have also been reported that monkeys or macaques transfer malaria in Peninsular Malaysia recently. So it's challenging. It has been challenging before COVID-19, but now we have a new player in the field, which is the COVID-19. So COVID-19 is the name of the disease that is, you hopefully know this, is it's not transferred, but it arises from the virus which is called SARS-CoV-2. So this is a study I'm just showing you that has been conducted by Melin and al. Recently, a few months back, and it's still under review. But her team compared the susceptibility to COVID-19 in different species of primates worldwide. And how they did this was in the lab. They also infected, I think, rhesus macaques. And there's one enzyme or protein, the receptor, that allows the virus to dock and enter the membrane, the cell membrane. And this enzyme, shortly, is called ACE2. And in the study, they compared the ACE2 similarities of proteins, the amino acid compounds in different primate species, and they tried to assess how likely certain primates or other species of animals, in fact, are going to be infected by the virus and develop COVID-19. So what you see here, and it's hopefully not a very busy or very, busy chart, but just take a moment to look at it and just let it stand here. So they compared the different immunocytes, this enzyme, the ACE2. And when you look on the right side, you already see there are different primate families. On your left side, where the circle is, are the names of these species. If you're not completely familiar with all the Latin names, don't worry too much. But look at the yellow branches. Yellow indicates that this species is highly susceptible to, or predicted to be highly susceptible to COVID-19. So you can see in this list, Homo sapiens is humans, so we are known, this is red to be infected. You see Pan, which is the chimpanzees, gorillas, Congo is the orangutan. Muscus, Hylobatus, and so on are the gibbons and different other species, macaques, and so on. So all these branches are yellow, and all these branches indicate that these primates, which are just an example of the many, many hundreds of species that exist in the world, are highly susceptible to COVID-19. Again, remember what I said in the beginning, what is old world, what is new world. So the circle indicates examples of old world monkeys and apes. Yeah? So the species you can find in Malaysia are all old world monkeys and apes. So we must expect that all species you find, all primates you find in Malaysia, are highly susceptible to the virus and can develop COVID-19. So we must think about how to protect them and how to protect us in order to not create more, more danger out of these human-macaque interfaces. So how should we manage this? How should we manage us? Us, not them. How should we manage us to mitigate certain challenges or risks and dangers that arise? Of course, previous management attempts, some of you might have heard about it, of so-called problem monkeys, mostly failed. This is a very sad example. It still breaks my heart. So sometime back, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, maybe 2014 or 15, Ampang, KL, it's an area where people go jogging in the morning. There's a population of pigtail macaques. People feed the macaques, and some people get fed up by macaques, and then they try to get rid of the macaques, and they throw firecrackers. They don't just throw the firecrackers, actually they disguise it as food. And this poor guy, he took up the firecracker, it exploded in his hand, he lost most of his fingers, and I'm not quite sure he died on the way to the vet, maybe due to other reasons, but this is very cruel and very sad, and of course not a way to manage what we call problem monkeys. Other efforts include trapping and translocating macaques, but sometimes also culling macaques, and that's not a secret. So massive culling in Malaysia has also gained international attention worldwide. I think that was an article from 2013. Where people question why do we kill so many macaques. Now you have to understand that if you report human-wildlife conflicts to the wildlife department, they have to act on your report. That's their duty. So we cannot just say, hey, I have a problem with monkeys, and then expect them, first of all, to do nothing, of course, but secondly, to maybe bring all these macaques into their rescue centers, or treat every monkey with utmost care, because they don't have the facilities, the money, the time, and the manpower to do this. So if more and more and more people report macaque conflicts, then their way of acting is culling, because of course they have to respond to the public to settle this problem. And culling is not the best solution, because especially long-tail macaques, they're very fast breeders. If you cull one population and you empty one space, then it just takes some time that this new space that was created will be taken up by other macaques, and then they breed again, and then it starts all over again. So culling is a very short-term solution. It's no solution at all. It's inhumane. I would not recommend it. So how do we manage that? How do we manage these interfaces? And I think what Bam also has mentioned, it's very important to educate people. So I'm trying to make this talk more towards how can I educate you all to manage or to interact, not interact, but react to monkeys in a way that is respectful and creates safe spaces for both of us. So first of all, we have to know them. We have to know about their ecology, their behavior. Especially long-tail macaques, they are forest edge dwellers. They like to be on the edge of, urban areas where there is green spaces, where there's still forests somewhere nearby. It's not surprising to see them there, because they're highly adapted to very different kinds of food. What this means, though, is if you see many, many macaques in these human-influenced areas, it might not mean that there are many, many, many macaques in the forests. So it's always this perception that they are just everywhere, but maybe they are just where we see them, so we perceive that there's many of them. Whereas in fact, in the forest, there are maybe not so many left anymore. So for Malaysia, we do not really have the numbers for abundance, or how many are there. Don't ask me that question, I don't know. But there have been some studies and indications that you see them more often in the urban areas, in human-influenced landscapes. And so you perceive them that they are abundant, but maybe in the forests they are not so abundant anymore. They are very important seed dispersers. Now I've mentioned that before. They play a vital role in forest regeneration. So if we want to maintain healthy forests, we have to protect all the seed dispersers. We have to protect elephants and hornbills and tapirs and primates and all the small mammals and so on, because different species disperse different seeds. So if you want to maintain diversity of trees, you also have to maintain diversity of seed dispersers. They are social animals, and Bam has mentioned that before. They need their families. And although macaques are not monogamous, so not like husband, wife, and one offspring living together for the rest of their lives. Sorry, offsprings are gonna leave soon, but the macaques are living in social groups, sometimes up to 80 or even 100 individuals, many adult females, many adult males. They have a hierarchy, very strict hierarchy. They know where's their status, where's their rank in this hierarchy, but they have very strong social bonding, and this is, you can see this by grooming. They reinforce these social bonds by playing, mock biting here, the two individuals, the pigtail macaques. They need their, what we call also family. They need their peers, yeah, to be mentally healthy. And this is very important to understand. So know your monkey. When you come across monkeys, many of you might not be aware that they talk to you. They don't say, hi, how are you? But they give you facial expressions. And every face they make has a message. And we humans are just so bad in reading this language or reading these facial expressions that sometimes we even respond, and we don't know we respond to them, and we give them signals that tell them that we are afraid, or that it's okay to take food from us, or that we are approachable. So we have to know about the language they speak So if you look at these faces here, this is very neutral facial expression. It's a friendly face. It's something like, I'm okay, I'm chill, how are you? You know, everything's good. It doesn't show aggression, it doesn't show fear. It's very different from the next picture. Now this is very important, and I'm sure many people get this wrong many times. When you look at macaques and also other species of primates, and often it's different for different genera, but please, when we stick to the macaques, they signal fear by smiling. Yeah. So when you look at a picture of the lady on the right, she's smiling at the monkey who's jumping on the left, sorry, who's jumping on the gentleman. She's smiling, and it's funny, yeah, right? But she shows that she has fear to the monkey. So the monkey is reading her face as she is fearful. Now, as I said, they live in hierarchies. They have social ranks, and if one individual indicates that it is afraid, it means I'm lower than you. And this would indicate to, in this case, the macaque who is jumping on the guy, that the lady is lower ranking and it's okay to attack her as well. And this is the problem, yeah? So never indicate fear, never smile at macaques, because when you show them that you are lower ranking, you give them like a green card, a green pass to steal your food, to pull your pens, to whatever, even to attack you or to bite you. So never show your teeth. Showing your teeth in another way also means aggression, but this is very obvious. Aggression, if you see a macaque doing this, it's not necessarily that he or she is very tired or very sleepy. So this is a display, what we call yawn, and it might be mistaken for I'm so tired, I'm gonna have a nap. But it's a display of the teeth. And look carefully at these canines. You do not want to get bitten by any adult macaque. Yeah? So calmly walk away, do not challenge, and do not panic and whatever. But be calm, ignore, look away, do not stare them in the eye. If you stare, you signal that you are challenging them, yeah, that you are kind of aggressive towards them. So the best you can always do is ignore, what we say in Malay, and then just walk away. Never ever challenge them. Okay, so know your monkey, know a little bit about their faces. You can also look up more online, there's some video material. Now, how do we reduce the risk of especially zoonosis in these challenging times? There's some management tips. Again, coming back to the culling or translocation, it's ineffective, it's inhumane. Look at these poor macaques, it's always breaking my heart. Now, there are alternatives, and I admit that they are very time-consuming and also very expensive, but would be much more effective in the long term and also be more humane, and this is neutering campaigns. Some neutering campaigns have been started, I think, in Thailand, and some pilot studies have also been conducted in Peninsular Malaysia by the Wildlife Department back in, I'm thinking like 2016 or something, but there has been no widespread campaign because again, it's very expensive. So this would be an alternative if we can find the manpower and the funding to conduct neutering campaigns for a long-term management basis to reduce the population and stabilize macaque populations in Malaysia. There are some short-term repellents that are quite funny at sometimes, so people try experiment with tiger urine, the stenchy smell of big felines, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I personally don't believe it's working. The tiger stuffed animals are working on a short-term basis. In the beginning, the macaques are stunned and don't know what is happening, especially if the tiger can roar. But then what you see here in this picture that was taken from a college near KL is that they caged the poor tiger. Actually, they didn't want it to be stolen by monkeys. But monkeys are smart. Like, why would monkeys be afraid of a tiger in the cage, right? So the thing is, if you try to work with these stuffed animals, you have to change their position. You have to kind of, you know, be dynamic and active with them, because the macaques are very smart and they will understand that a tiger in the cage who's sitting there for 3 months doesn't mean any harm. So it's a short-term solution. If you put it in different places, it might work for some time, and then just put it away and put it back out after a few weeks. And then there's some experiments with snakes, imitation of snakes, and so on. Again, this is all very short-term. So what you should do as an individual, as a, you know, in public spaces, in university campuses where there's often also macaques coming in, just be very mindful, yeah, when entering these hotspots. Be aware that you are sharing the spaces. And when you share spaces, we have to just understand some of their behaviors, as I have just talked about the facial expressions, but we have to also just be aware that it's not us only, right? And there's different species that have different needs. They want to find their food. They don't bother that we are there or not if we don't feed them. So we have to be respectful and mindful and just try to be neutral, yeah, when encountering macaques. So maintain your distance, do not get too close. As I said, just try to ignore them. Ensure, especially if you have, for example, dogs, that they are leashed, because there can be negative encounters or attacks that happen from both sides. So leash your pet dogs. Avoid walking through a troop or group. And especially, and that's very important, if you see mothers and babies, just be very far away from them. Do not get too close. Do not, of course, touch the baby ever. The problems arise because of also the males, in the group, who want to protect the babies. So if anybody gets too close to the babies, the mothers, but also the alpha male, the leaders, they will try to protect the babies. So sometimes you might get caught up in any kind of aggression between the macaques that you're not even aware of. And if there's babies, there's always a high potential for aggression because of individuals trying to protect the offspring. So just stay away. Always supervise your children. This is a funny picture because the child is supervising the macaques. This is a funny side note because people always ask this, like, okay, these are two sub-adults, like juvenile, really small kids as well, and they are mounting. And it's not, as you know, macaques mounting for sexual reasons, but this is not mating, yeah. So they are playing, they are testing their hierarchy, they are testing where in the social hierarchy they stand. So they're just playing. And sometimes if you see like male and male monkeys mounting as well, it doesn't mean they're mating. It's again just to reconfirm social bonding and to confirm the hierarchy status of the individuals. So, little side note about monkey behavior. So always supervise your children as well. Do not let them touch or play or get too close to the monkeys. Practice caution, especially during these hotspot hours. So monkeys are very active during morning and late afternoon hours. So in the morning they get up, they start foraging and feeding, and then usually they have a siesta during the midday when it's really hot. And then they become more active again and start foraging and feeding again in the later afternoon. And they would sleep around like 7 p.m.-ish and get up the next morning again at 7 or 6. Okay, this is what I have mentioned before. Look at this beautiful male. They have like this little eyeshadow. Avoid challenging the leader. Sometimes, of course, you do not know who is the leader, so just avoid challenging anybody. But if he comes too close, do not run away or do not make very quick movements because you don't know how he would react. It's most of the time really the safest thing. If you just look away, you avoid, you ignore, and if they come for food, do not run away because they might even run out. So I'm not recommending this if you're not an expert, but I personally would just challenge him back, as long as the as he is not showing his teeth like the yawn that I showed you before. It's still like in a safe area. When he starts to really be aggressive, showing teeth and charging, then is the time to walk away. But what they want is they want to test you and how you react to them. And they want to test you most of the time because you mean food. And you give them food because this is what people do. And I will talk about this. So to get your food, they just try, how is he or she reacting to me? Oh, okay, she's afraid, he's afraid. So the monkey will come and grab your food. So do not, as I said again, do not get too close, but if the monkey comes closer, just ignore. Yeah, don't do anything. Avoid carrying plastic bags, and that's of course because they are smart, they learn plastic bags as food. And if they ever retrieve your food, do not try to get it back. You don't want to eat that mass anymore. But of course, it's very dangerous, as I said before. Do not interact, do not touch, do not get too close ever. Be also mindful about other food that might be in your surroundings. So if you are living in some apartment areas where there's a green space, maybe monkeys come in and they eat on food plants. Maybe there's some important food plants. And this happens a lot also for langurs, the leaf monkeys here in Penang, where we get called. And they are trying to find food plants in urban areas as well. So it's not just about food that we give them, like human food, but also what they can find as natural foods in the areas. On a larger scale, restore habitat connectivity. Now, this is the canopy bridge I had mentioned before that we set up with the Langur project in Penang, where we try to reconnect forest patches that are divided by busy roads, and there have been a lot of road kills. Now, this is something on a larger scale that should be done in many spaces, not just in Malaysia, but generally. Try to get the primates, not just macaques, back into their original habitat that are fragmented. And these canopy bridges, they also work for other species like squirrels and rodents and like all the boreal animals. And if you want to learn more about this, just check out the Facebook of Langur Project Penang. And this is the most important of all, in the long term, never, ever the monkeys, and I tend to emphasize that enough, because so many people just either feel sorry for the monkeys, say, okay, they don't have food, although the forest is just nearby, or sometimes it's out of cultural or religious practices and beliefs. In the long run, it's just the worst that anybody can do is when you start feeding macaques, they become dependent on you, they reduce the distance, they lose the fear, and they come close and sometimes might even attack you. And now talking again about zoonosis, about the risk of not only transmitting but also receiving diseases and also COVID-19, we do not want to be close to any species of primates because we also want to save them from us. Yeah, we are now the carriers, the main carriers of COVID-19. And if we give them food handouts, we might even give them something that is, like food that is carrying like our saliva or virus, whatever. So we do not want to risk that they get infected. So stop feeding the monkeys. What could possibly go wrong, right? So these are real pictures. This is not Photoshop. These are examples from Indonesia, from Thailand, the fat monkey, that macaque below. He gained some social media fame back like 2 or 3 years ago. He went into a rehab center. I think he went on a diet. He lost how many pounds. He was released back and he started to eat again. I think he's kind of big again now. Now, of course, when you look at these pictures, we talk about social distancing. We talk about do not crowd, do not go into big meetings and social gatherings and everything. Now, imagine all of these being carriers for certain diseases. Do you really want to expose yourself to this? I don't think so. And of course, again, you create very unsafe spaces for the macaques as well. So they can be infected by your diseases. They lose their natural instincts. They don't know how to search for food anymore in the forest. And there is enough food in the forest. They just depend on human food because it's much more delicious. Maybe it's high in calories, it's sweet, there's fat and everything inside. So it's easy to get. They don't have to look for it in the forest. So they lose the fear, they lose their natural instincts. Another thing is, and this is very clear in this picture, if there's any kind of wildlife that always gets provisioned and there's no competition anymore for food, they breed and breed and breed. And their numbers rise, and then there's more aggression, there's more competition because of the high density, higher numbers. And you're just accelerating all these problems by feeding the macaques and feeding other wildlife. Yeah? It's not just for macaques. So always ensure proper, what do you call it, food disposal, but actually it's called garbage disposal. But they search, they look for food in the garbage bins. They carry garbage away from the disposal grounds, and littering and everything, of course, is also very unpleasant and very dangerous for many other species. We have seen this for sea turtles and the plastic pollution and the issues and everything with plastic. But there's one more thing. This is some food source for the macaques, so always make sure that you dispose your garbage and you bring back your, whatever you bring into the forest. Don't litter your hiking trails and all these things. I think it should be common sense. Sometimes, unfortunately, it isn't. Okay, if you have the opportunity, and especially maybe in apartments and so on, please try to improve, to make sure your garbage bins are monkey-proof. There are some tricks. You can find this. This is from WikiHow on social media even. So you can find this on the internet. But we have been working with some colleges in KL trying to improve the situation they have with monkeys coming in. So we set up these monkey-proof bins. So just make sure they don't get to the garbage. This is something, I'm almost done with my presentation. This is something that is important now for people who research macaques and also who work with not just macaques, with primates in general in captivity, in settings where you can, I think for many of you who are vet students as well, this is something when you, maybe later in your profession, when you work with primates, just make sure you follow the SOP. Yeah? So there are standardized safety protocols, biosafety protocols. Just make sure you be safe, and they will be safe by reducing distances, by always wearing masks now. We are very used to this now. We all have to wear our masks when going to the supermarket or in public spaces. So this should not just be something when you meet people, but also if you are exposed to other primates, just always make sure you wear masks, you don't touch them, but if you have to touch them, just wear gloves. Do not take primate selfies or pictures like this guy here is promoted on social media. Oh, in Bali, fantastic, he made so and so many selfies. You can find, if you Google primate selfie, you can find the Bali macaques and tourists going there and taking pictures, and it looks fun, yeah. But I told you about all the risks, yeah. So when you take pictures and you put them up on social media and let your friends and peers and family and strangers see these pictures, and everybody goes like, oh, this is so much fun, I want to have this too. Again, you create opportunities for people getting too close to monkeys. You don't want to show that they are cuddly pets, because they are not. And you don't want to promote the pet trade, which is another issue that can arise from this. So do not take any close contact photos and put them on social media. Again, avoid close proximity, and again, educate people. So BAM has mentioned about this before. If our mindset in general doesn't change, then nothing will change in the long term, because we just really have to be aware that everything we do has consequences. And when we create these safe spaces or these respectful interactions, again, it's not an interaction, but when we create like the distances and just look at them in a different manner as wild animals who be respected to be wild animals and be protected as wild animals, then we can mitigate many of these issues that arise. Now, addressing the root causes really starts with educating the public. So anybody of you who's interested, again, who wants to join BAM's project for various rehabilitation and education purposes, contact her. And if you're interested in also joining the Malaysian Primate Society for more of these outreach projects, please contact us. We have been doing several years of outreach now in all different states of Peninsular Malaysia, going to schools, going to road shows, having booths at exhibitions, or just talking to, having forest tours and just talking to children and families who sign up. The more people you can reach and just talk about general issues and educate them about primate diversity and why they are so stunning and important to be protected and everything, the more little seeds, right, you grow, and for more next generation especially, people to be aware that we have to be respectful about any wildlife and protect our biodiversity. Okay, I want to mention about this project. It's called Animal Neighbors Project, and they just have recently launched their website, and you can even report any sort of conflicts with macaques, especially here on this website. So please take this as a note. Again, you can report anything to the wildlife department, but I have mentioned about that they have their constraints as well. If there's any really dangerous situation, please report to the wildlife department. If there's just some sort of like, oh my God, there are too many monkeys feeding on my garden plants, then always report to the animal neighbors, because what they are doing, they're collecting data about these hotspot areas, and then they or we would go and also try to talk to the wildlife department and come up with strategies of how to manage or protect these spaces and the primates. Last but not least, this is something that's interesting and hasn't been practiced in Malaysia, and this is called monkey guarding. So now in areas, especially urban areas, where there's a lot of macaques, we don't want to always call the wildlife department because, of course, like culling and translocation is not the solution. But in the long term, we can try to guard these housing area or residential areas by having guards, people who are there and who show constant presence and who are just employed really to herd monkeys away. So I'll show you a video in a second, but what happens is that the guard or the person who is the monkey guard would have a stick and not hit the macaque, but just indicating the presence. And by doing so, he or she indicates the dominance. And again, because of the hierarchy, if you show your dominant over the alpha male, he would, after a while, give up and they move away. And it's a long-term thing. It requires constant presence. So it's not just one day somebody goes and just hello, hello, hello. That's not how it works. So somebody has to be employed to guard residential areas, but without interacting and without hitting the macaques or hurting the macaques or culling or whatever. So we want to create safe and respectful barriers. And this is credit to, and many of the pictures that I've just shown is credit to Sabrina Jabba from Singapore, who's doing the Monkey Guard project. And the next video is her and her fantastic work that she's doing. And I hope that the video is working. So very subtle, very simple. See, the macaques are not really, they don't know what to do. They're kind of like, who's that person? And they are not aggressive, but they're still trying to get to the fence, the fencing area. So Sabrina is just calmly standing there, indicating her presence and indicating her dominance. She's not moving away. She's not like showing fear or anything. So the macaques will learn after a while that this is not an area where they should be. And last short video. Again, very simple, very subtle. It just requires constant, again, presence and being in that area. So I hope I have given you some ideas. I'm sorry if I talk too long. Again, what we really need to do is respect wildlife, and we have to learn a lot about different species and their behaviors. Again, they're all different, but I'm happy to share, with whoever has questions, even after this webinar. You can just email me. I'm happy to share what I know, and I don't know much. So thanks a lot, and video again special thanks to Sabrina and also Peter Ong for some of the photos of the macaques. And stop sharing my screen and pass back to the moderators. All right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nadine. I agree that I really learned a lot from your presentation. And I agree to the point where you say a lot of us are not aware of feeding the macaque what we see as good intention actually brings negative consequences to them. And there's also a comment by Wendy where she claims being in tourism industry, she finds it extremely difficult to educate the tour operators on not needing to feed the long-tailed macaques. She hopes that after this COVID-19, there will be new generation of tourists that will say no to feeding. So the things that you have educate, like the facial expression, how should they be mindful during encountering the macaques is really important, and tour operators plays a big role in educating that to tourists. So with that, a lot of people can be aware and know how to interact with these monkeys and how we should not violate their spaces. So thank you so much for that, Dr. Nadine. So with that, I will pass to Glenn to start the Q&A session.
Hi, back to me again. So it's the Q&A session right now. Thank you, Dr. Nadine, for the interesting facts about macaques. And we have one question from Songlin Sim. He asked, I think it's at the front part of your presentation, you talked about the pigtail macaque. They eat rats, right, as their food. So will they have any chance of contracting this leptospirosis?
That's a really good question. We don't know. So this is something we are going to study in the future. So how are the consequences what are the consequences of eating rats and also foraging in these plantations, because they are also exposed to herbicides and other pesticides and poisons. So how does eating on rats and foraging in plantations actually affect the health of the macaques? We don't know. This is something that's coming up hopefully for next year for this research project. It's, I think, very likely that they will contract a lot of parasites from the rats, and it's also possible, of course, that they contract like other diseases like leptospirosis. So absolutely possible. As I said, like humans and primates, we are so closely related. So this makes the whole COVID-19 topic now so interesting as well. So yes, it's possible, but we don't know.
Okay. All right. The next question is from Li Kai Xian. She said that there is this translocation cages in but they're not using it anymore. And then there's this incident that happened that an infant macaque got trapped inside the cage and died. So will do anything to remove the translocation cages, or it just
I mean, I'm not at UM. I don't know about their management and policy and what they're doing, but I recommend that they are gonna be removed, because if they're not being used anymore, what's the purpose of it?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, maybe students of UM can bring this up to the management and talk about, especially the audience now here, you have heard my talk, you can contact me if you have more questions, but talk about these issues, whatever issues you come across, to certain stakeholders or authorities, whoever you think might have to react on something that you're not happy with. So just reach out. And Kaisian, maybe just talk to the UM management about this. Yeah.
Yes. I hope Kaisian got this and will report that. And also one question from Eric. He asked about this. What will happen if we stop feeding the macaques, since they have been heavily reliant on us for food?
Okay, that's a great question. I didn't want to, I talked so much already. Again, I can talk for days. So there's examples of what happened in certain areas, not only in Thailand, but also in Malaysia. And it depends on how heavily these macaques have depended on food handouts before. So there's one extreme example from the macaques in Lopburi in Thailand. where they are since, I think, 10 years or even more. They're always fed by tourists. They're actually, I don't think they have any natural foods left. And the town itself also conducts a monkey festival every year to cherish macaques. So again, there's many cultural and religious beliefs that evolved around the issue of feeding macaques or primates. What happened during the lockdown, all of a sudden, no more food, zero food availability. So the monkeys joined, ganged up, and like groups of usually 40 or 50 became mega groups of hundreds and hundreds of macaques, and plummeting, through whatever they could find in the city, attacking people who were outside. So this is an extreme example, and it shows what happens if people make wildlife highly dependent on us, on people. Yeah. So this is, again, in the first place, why we should avoid feeding monkeys. Then there's some milder examples that I personally also observed from where I study in Perak. There's some urban parks, and people, again, are always going there to feed the macaques. But there's green spaces, there's trees, and there's mangroves and everything. So after a few days, the macaque was retreated back into the forest. They just went back into the mangrove. Wouldn't see them so much anymore outside in the parking lot, in the public areas. And they seemed to be fine until people came back and started feeding them again. So there are a lot of opportunities actually that we should take now during this time of, reduced interactions because of the lockdowns and everything, to really stop feeding them. And so in this particular area in Lumut, with the NGO, we set up signboards. We again reminded people not to feed the monkeys because now they're already adapting back to their natural behaviors. Now we must seize the opportunity, right, to not fall back into the wrong things that we have been doing. So let's see. I mean, it's challenging again. We shall see.
Okay. I hope everyone here is gonna spread the message out that do not feed the monkeys, all right, and try to reduce as much as possible the human and wildlife interaction. And we also have one more question for Dr. Nadine. You talk about the overpopulation of long-tailed macaque, right? So how will it affect the other primate species? Will it dominate, or will it how will it affect the other primates?
I mean, it depends. So again, in an ecosystem that is balanced and that is intact, and where we humans do not interrupt through feeding or habitat fragmentation, all these things, they would find their natural balance. There won't be any overpopulation. And usually what we see is that if primates are what we call sympatric, so they're living together in the same habitat, they're sharing spaces, they are still being divided by what they eat. They're divided by different foraging levels in the canopy, and often the pigtail macaques are a little bit more dominant than the long-tail macaques. So when there's long-tail macaques in an area where they feed, and coincidentally pigtail macaques come, then there won't be any big fight, but maybe the long-tail macaques will just move away, or langurs in that area would just move away. So they find their balance, and that's usually not really a problem. Yeah, the problem is only when we create these spaces where we feed, where we provide, and then it comes to overpopulation. And this is the question. So there can now be the issues that especially in, like, let's say one park where there's like hundreds of long-tail macaques, that they compete with other primate species in that area, and they might even bring them, or like